Welcome to IntegriTV. It's day 8, our final day here at General Convention. We've talked to bishops and priests and deputies and man in the street, and we want to wrap up with some fun things today. So join us and let us know what you think.
Hi, I'm Cameron Partridge, trans-Episcopal, and it's been an absolutely incredible convention for trans folks and our family, friends, allies. It's obviously D002 and D019 both passed, and D022 is still due to be finally passed. That was that bullying one. But I have to say, it's just been an incredible time of relational building and deepening for those of us in trans-Episcopal. We have been so impressed by the witness that's been born in the hearings by folks we didn't even know. We've had wonderful encounters, conversations in the events planned by Integrity and the Chicago consultation. It's just been a really beautiful convention for us. We also we held a Eucharist after Integrity's Eucharist, and oh my goodness, Integrity's Eucharist was incredible. What an honor it was to be serving alongside Mary Glasspool and Bishop Gene Robinson, and of course Mary Glasspool is a bishop too, and Carolyn Woodall. It was an incredible experience to be up there serving with them, to hear Gene Robinson preach about trans folks and the deepening the deeper theological and just relational work that we have done and are doing and will be doing, invited by our votes. That was an incredible thing to hear. In Trans-Episcopal, we had a Eucharist, a small gathering, probably about 40 or so people, the following evening, and one of our members had been considering baptism before he came here, and he decided that this would be a perfect time for him to do that, so we got to do a baptism as part of that, and that was an incredible honor for me to get to baptize him, and I think for the community to embrace him in that way. Not something I expected to happen, and wow. I guess the final thing I would say is just how the witness that was born in the testimony, both in the bishops and in the House of Deputies, just really knocked us off our seats in the positivity. And it wasn't just that it was supportive, it's that it was deep, and it was considered, and it was thoughtful. And it invites us into further reflection, not simply about trans people, but about how these debates about who we are as a church are connected to other debates we're already having, conversations we're having about structure, about budget. All that is about who are we as a church? How do we grow into the identity that God's calling us to grow into? And we've been doing that for a long time, and I think all of these matters of inclusion are connected to those larger questions. And so it was a real honor to be part of a gathering that really, to my mind, they were integrated into them. They were all part of one another. So I look forward to continuing in the conversation about who we are as a church and to growing into the incredible church that I think we can become.
This is Mary O'Shaughnessy from IntegriTV with a man who needs no introduction. Thank you, Bishop Robinson, for sitting with us.
You're welcome.
Bishop Robinson, it's been a run. What's next?
Well, it has been an amazing run. 9 years ago, we were all here fighting for consent to my election, and the church was trying to decide how deep, how broad, how wide God's love was. And in this last 9 years, I think we have gotten very much clearer about how expansive God's love is. And I'm so humbled and privileged to have been a part of that. And I think the church has decided that LGBT people are a part of God's love and God's kingdom. And to have so thoroughly and wonderfully included trans people in that love at this convention has just been extraordinary. And for us to now have an authorized liturgy, you know, Episcopalians are people of two books, the Bible and the prayer book. And if you want to know who we really are and what we really believe, you look at our liturgies. And now to have an authorized liturgy for the blessing of same-gender couples is huge beyond description. Because when we have a liturgy for something, we really mean it. And so, you know, that's just been an amazing thing. I will be retiring at the end of this year, and what that will mostly mean is that I will have a little less of my calendar predetermined by other things. I like to think of it as this will give me more time to make trouble, gospel trouble, I hope, for the church. I actually do have a half-time job that I'm going to be going to. I'm going to be expanding my time at the Center for American Progress in Washington, D.C. That's John Podesta's liberal think tank. And John himself is a devout Roman Catholic and really gets the religion thing. So it's rather extraordinary for a liberal think tank to want a moral voice speaking to the issues facing us. So I've been writing on immigration reform, healthcare reform, poverty, Occupy Wall Street, as well as LGBT issues. And so I'll be getting a little apartment in Washington, D.C., and spending about half my time there. And then when Mark is able to retire in a couple of years, I think we'll probably move there. Washington is where he was living when I met him. He was working at the National Office of the Peace Corps. So I took him away from there 25 years ago, so now I'm going to take him back. But it will leave me with a lot of time to do speaking engagements and to continue my part in the fight for full and equal rights in the culture and full inclusion in the church. So rumors of my demise are greatly exaggerated. I'm not going anywhere. It's just that I won't have all those commitments that a diocesan bishop does. So don't look for me to disappear.
When you talked about a moral voice, I had a conversation with someone, a gay man in our community, who said to me when I brought up the word moral and moral choices and moral values, we can't use that word as LGBT people because it's been used to hit us over the head, so we shouldn't be using the word moral or morality. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I couldn't disagree more. Moral is, yes, perhaps been used against us, but we need to reclaim it as our own. The requests and demands that we are making on the church and on the culture is a moral challenge. And we are actually asking the country to live up to the morals as stated in our Constitution, and we're asking the church to live up to the morality as expressed in the gospel of Jesus Christ. So what we are doing is moral work, and we cannot let them own that word, right? That's our word too. And I think indeed, as church people, we must use that word because indeed that's what drives us. That it is our faith that tells us what is moral. And our faith tells us that the full inclusion of LGBT people in the life of the church and in the life of the culture is morality writ large.
That's great. And in closing, I know that you're an extrovert and you're a great extrovert, but how do you stay centered, even extroverts who are surrounded by people who look up to them and love them and want to be close to you? How do you stay centered when it feels like you're, as one priest blogger says, Beyonce on stage in concert for so much of your life, and it's even for an extrovert that can be very draining. How do you stay centered?
Yeah, I have to say, you know, I have absolutely no introvert points on the Myers-Briggs, but even for an extrovert like me, I can get peopled out, and which is why General Convention, regardless of what the issues are and the resolutions are, is so exhausting for me. But you know, it has been countless people, many of whom I will never meet, who have held me up in prayer during this last 9 years, and I simply could not have done this without them. And so when someone approaches me and wants to shake my hand or meet me or whatever, you know, it seems like the least I can do is to you know, we often think of hospitality as only happening in our homes, but actually hospitality happens in our relationships, of whether they be lifetime relationships or relationships of 2 minutes. And so I see it as part of my ministry to welcome those people, and it gives me a chance to thank them for their prayers and so on. I think the trick is to not believe your own PR. I am probably more aware than most that that clergy in general, bishops more explicitly, and maybe me even more so, are symbols. I often tell my clergy, we are walking Rorschachs onto which people project all kinds of things. Now that includes those who hate us and project all kinds of horrible things on us, but it's also true for those who love us. They also project things onto us that are not true, because at the end of the day, I'm human, I'm a sinner, I fall short just like everybody else. So I think the trick to lasting in this work and in the kind of position I'm in is to never lose sight of that what people love is their image of me, some of which may be true. I like to think that what I am in public is who I really am, but I also know it's very seductive to believe those projections rather than staying in touch with who I really am, which is nothing more and nothing less than a child of God, which is why prayer is so important. It's in my prayer life that I'm dealing with the one who knows who I really am and is not at all impressed by me or anything I've said or done, but loves me anyway. And I think that's the key to staying grounded.
Thank you. Thank you so much. God bless.
You're so welcome.
And have a great rest.
Thank you so much.
And so we come to the end of General Convention 77. And we're going to be leaving Indianapolis tomorrow, and I imagine for many of us it's going to be both a joy to go home and a sadness to be leaving here. It's been a wonderful time. And Integrity is going away feeling really supported by the wider church. We came here hoping that we would come away with rights for same-gender blessings, hoping that we would be able to complete the work of full inclusion for transgender people, and hoping that we would persuade the church to take a stand against bullying. And we have scored 3 for 3. On all those things, the church has come through for us. And there have been a few minor triumphs as well. The Episcopal Church has taken a position against federal laws such as the Defense of Marriage Act. It's taken a position against those who would preach hatred. And it has taken a stand against the immigration laws which unfairly penalize gay, lesbian and transgender people. So this has been a truly great and wonderful convention for us. The team has been amazing. We've had a good time, we've worked together well, and we're sorry to be leaving each other. But it's not just the team who's been here that's made it possible. Our victories this time have come from the teamwork that has gone on in Integrity for decades. And I'm particularly glad that this was an occasion when we were honouring Louis Crew, as well as Gene Robinson as he retires from being the Bishop of New Hampshire, because we could see there the whole string of history over the last 37 years that Integrity has been working for full inclusion in the Episcopal Church. We're not quite there yet. We don't yet have canons which declare that marriage is between two people. They still declare they're between a man and a woman. But we do have a study coming up in this next 3 years which will look at the theology of marriage, and one of the things that they are going to be charged with is looking at the canons that relate to marriage as well. So maybe next convention we'll see that change. But the bigger task ahead of us is to work in the churches and the dioceses to make sure that all really means all at home, where it matters. And we're really excited to be partnering with some new allies to continue this work, particularly amongst young adults in and around the Episcopal Church. Because now the Church is fully welcoming, we can really turn outwards in evangelism and welcome in those who are looking for a church home, are looking for a church that lets them know that God really loves them and that God's love is inclusive, and where all really does mean all. Thank you. Thank you for your support for integrity.
We'll be back with General Convention 2015 in 3 years, but check in before then, because we'll be back to bring you up to date on what's going on the integrity side of the Episcopal Church.
If you want more insight and coverage, check out our blog, find us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter. There's so much going on, and Integrity is committed to covering it. You can find links for all our resources at integrityusa.org. That's it for this edition of IntegriTV. Thanks for watching.